The South Korean drama series, Moving, is adapted from a webcomic of the same name. The show depicts the lives of children with hidden superpowers in the present day, and their parents who harbor painful secrets from the past. Together, they confront a tremendous intergenerational threat in an action-packed superhero story. The series has already been launched on Disney+, with a total of 7 episodes released in the first week. These 7 episodes encompass the initial phase of the overall story, focusing on the various challenges that the superpowered teenagers begin to face. Many thrilling and visually stunning action sequences are featured, and below, I'll highlight what I personally consider to be the top 5 scenes, and share them with you one by one. The class monitor followed the delinquent youths to the gymnasium, intending to use words alone to prevent him from getting close to Hazel.
뭐냐? 너 여기 왜 왔냐?
Naturally, the delinquent youths wouldn't heed such advice, causing the class monitor to even resort to using profanity, creating a notable contrast with his refined appearance. It's worth noting that well-mannered Koreans find it uncommon to use foul language.
아, 이 개새끼가 진짜 씨. 내 맘이야, 이 씹새끼야. 왜? 그니까 뭐하게 이 씨발아.
The delinquent youths were convinced that the seemingly polished class monitor would be at a significant disadvantage if he was to engage physically. With an air of superiority, he challenged him to a fight, believing that him would surely suffer. However, to their surprise, the class monitor had been concealing his true strength all along. The delinquent youth were completely powerless against him, and within a few rounds, they were defeated. This kind of dramatic reversal ignited a fervor in the spectators, as they watched the delinquent youth's dominance crumble. The battle between the superpowered individual and Frank was an intense confrontation. The Electric Man's ability involved amplifying electrical energy to geometric levels. With just a single dry cell battery, he could magnify and release tens of thousands of volts of electricity. Physical contact with him would result in a jolting shock that instantaneously rendered the opponent incapable of counterattacking. He undeniably possessed a remarkably high offensive capability. When facing off against Frank, he consistently held the upper hand. The owner of the hair salon possessed the power of foresight, allowing her to predict her opponent's actions. Furthermore, the salon had been thoroughly arranged, turning her into a tactical fighter. Operating on her home turf, she had the advantage of exploiting information gaps when confronted with incoming enemies. This advantage translated into maintaining a consistent advantage over Frank once the battle commenced. The room was littered with hidden weapons, making this conflict within the confined space an exhilarating display of strategic thinking. Both combatants leveraged the terrain and every available resource to their advantage, resulting in an exceptionally thrilling engagement. Despite the hair salon owner's extensive combat experience and commendable fighting skills, Frank's possession of an exceptionally powerful regenerative ability allowed him to continually refine his combat strategy. However, neither the Electric Man nor the salon owner had regenerative capabilities, preventing them from engaging in a prolonged battle. Ultimately, both participants succumbed to defeat as their fighting power could not be sustained. These two battles effectively highlighted the terrifying nature of Frank's regenerative ability. Hazel's previous high school had a bullying issue, which is indeed a widespread problem in Korean schools. One of her classmates in her class was consistently bullied by a group of delinquent girls, who would snatch his belongings and use both verbal and physical abuse to torment him. These incidents occurred daily, and Hazel witnessed them all.
야, 그만 좀 해.
While some of her classmates attempted to defend the bullied student, their efforts were in vain. Hazel, who was unaware of her own superpowers, couldn't tolerate this any longer after witnessing the repeated bullying incidents. She decided to stand up for her classmates' justice.
야, 나와.
Even though she didn't know about her superpowers at the time, she took on the 17 bullies single-handedly. Initially overwhelmed by the sheer number of attackers, Hazel's remarkable resilience allowed her to quickly get back on her feet after each fall. This gradually unnerved her opponents, who became increasingly afraid as they watched Hazel stand up to them. The sight of these bullies growing more fearful with every blow was truly satisfying to behold.
너 뭐야? 너? 너 뭐냐고!
In the latter part of episode 7, Hazel and her classmates are in the midst of a physical education class. The apparatus she was using to practice vertical jumping had been tampered with the previous night. After a series of consecutive jumps, the structure suddenly gives way, hurtling towards Hazel. In a split second, both Kim and the class monitor instinctively dash forward to the rescue. However, Kim, not proficient in using his flying ability, tumbles shortly after taking off. Back at home, Kim is consumed by frustration. He possesses superpowers, yet he couldn't save the person he cares about. Determined, he discards all his weighted items and commits himself to mastering flight. He stumbles at first, unable to stay airborne for long, but he doesn't give up. After numerous attempts, in his final endeavor, he puts all his effort into it. Eventually, he attains the ability to soar through the skies. Frank received a new mission, finally targeting Hazel's father. There's a long, 1-minute continuous shot that starts from Frank driving and goes all the way to crashing into Hazel's father's motorcycle. It traverses through numerous streets, knocking down various objects, and maneuvering past many pedestrians. Whether there's CGI assistance involved or not, this kind of extended shot is meticulously choreographed and orchestrated, creating a seamless and exhilarating sequence. However, it appears that this time Frank is unaware of Hazel's father's unlimited regenerative ability. After running him over with the car a few times, Frank departs triumphantly, notifying his contact that the mission is accomplished. Yet, as the protagonist, Hazel's father certainly doesn't lose so easily. He secretly hitches a ride underneath the car and follows Frank to the outskirts. As both possess superhuman regenerative abilities, an intense battle between them becomes inevitable.
내가 구령프다.
Now it's a showdown of combat skills and the strength of their regenerative powers. From this fight, it becomes apparent that besides his regenerative ability, Hazel's father seemingly possesses tremendous strength, able to effortlessly wield a car door as a weapon. After an intense 7-minute brawl, Hazel's father emerges victorious, setting both Frank and the truck ablaze. However, the show doesn't elaborate on Frank's fate, and this week's episode concludes here. This cliffhanger will likely remain unresolved until the next batch of 3 episodes is released next week.